Your Excellency, President Kersti Kaljulaid, dear ministers and members of Parliament, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to welcome you in Tbilisi. I thank you, Madam President, for visiting Georgia with such a distinguished delegation. It shows the breadth and depth of our relation. Estonia has always been a staunch supporter of Georgia's independence, development, and our European and Euro-Atlantic aspirations. Your visit is regarded as another very important manifestation of this support as you are holding the presidency of the European Union, and we are facing a very important event this month, the Eastern Partnership Summit. Georgia is meeting the summit in a very good shape. We have achieved impressive progress on our path to the EU. This has been a result of the dedication of our people and unyielding support of our friends, and of course, first of all, not the most, but the strongest supporter of Georgia, Estonia. We deeply value the support and assistance of our Estonian friends, and of course, it has been existential for Georgia throughout these 25 years of diplomatic relations. During the bilateral meeting with Madam President this morning, we were able to cover a broad spectrum of our successful cooperation. But above all, I am glad that we have a common vision of our future, and of course, I am glad to see the representatives of leading Estonian companies and their Georgian counterparts gathered here today, willing to unlock untapped potential and explore ample business opportunities between our countries. Dear friends, Estonia is a big success story and hope for many developing countries. In only 2 decades, this small nation, with scarce resources and a grim Soviet legacy, managed to become a star performer and the world leader in democracy building and economic transformation based on openness and innovation. Estonia, with its determination, work ethic and resilience, is widely admired and regarded as a role model for many of us. Therefore, we hope to attract not only Estonian investments and know-how, but also to follow your vision. Much like Estonia, Georgia is a small but incredibly vibrant country, strategically located at the crossroads of trade between Europe and Asia. By signing the association agreement with the EU, including deep and comprehensive free trade area agreement in 2014, we took a major step towards our European goal. Our economic policy is oriented towards free, fair, inclusive and sustainable development, and we are following a bold reform agenda that will continue strengthening our democracy and economic growth. The government of Georgia is currently implementing a 4-pillar reform plan that will allow us to make a qualitative leap as an emerging economy that is aspiring to become more diversified and knowledge-intensive. The main priorities of this plan are a growth-oriented regulatory framework, an education system geared towards human capital development, spatial planning, and effective governance. Georgia has one of the most liberal foreign trade policies in the world and offers an attractive pro-business regulatory framework. Just yesterday, the new ranking was published by the World Bank on ease of doing business, in which we rank 9th in the world. Since the last year, our overall ranking improved by 7 positions. The latest study of Fraser Institute's Economic Freedom of the World ranks Georgia the 8th freest economy in the world among 159 countries. Georgia is already one of the lowest tax burden countries in the world, coming in 8th in the total tax rate indicator of the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Index. But we are liberalizing our tax system even further. To encourage businesses to invest in development and new jobs, we abolished a profit tax on undistributed earnings, again taking an example of Estonia in this regard. Georgia, during the last 5 years, has improved significantly positions in international rankings in such important areas for business as Corruption Perception Index by 38 positions, in property rights protection by 74 positions, in impartiality of courts by 39 positions, in extent of market dominance by 45 positions, in effect of taxation on incentives to investment by 21 positions, in the macroeconomic environment by 89 positions. In addition to our business-friendly environment, our geographic location gives Georgia further competitive advantages. Thanks to a liberal trade regime, low taxes, and our strategic location, Georgia has become a new regional frontier for investment opportunities. We are offering foreign entrepreneurs a competitive environment for expanding their businesses in the larger region that will reduce their operational costs. Georgia offers a gateway not only to the South Caucasus, but also to Central Asia, and then further to Eastern markets of more than 2 billion consumers. We provide physical access through modern transport infrastructure and normative access in terms of free trade agreements. Georgia is the first country in the region to have a free trade agreement with China and the European Union at the same time. We also have in place free trade agreements with CIS countries, Turkey, and GSP regimes with the United States, Canada, and Japan, and plan to launch FTA negotiations with India later this year. We are developing strategic transport corridors connecting Asia with Europe, among them the new deep-sea port in Anaglia on the Black Sea, which sits on the shortest route from China to Europe, will become one of the principal gateways on the Silk Road route. Additionally, roads, railroads, fiber optics, and other infrastructure are being put in place to complement this project. As a part of revitalization of the ancient Silk Road project, 2 days ago in Baku, together with the presidents of Turkey and Azerbaijan and prime ministers from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, we opened the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway, which has already been dubbed as a middle corridor on the China-EU transport map. Dear representatives of the Estonian businesses, there is a good foundation to build on. In 2015, Estonian FDI in Georgia increased sixfold, while in 2016, they rose by 52%. In the 9 months of 2017, trade turnover between Georgia and Estonia increased by 6%. Although the amount of investment and trade is relatively low, and dynamic is indeed promising, and there is sufficient room for growth. I hope today's forum has provided an excellent platform to learn about new opportunities in Georgia and jumpstart new business initiatives. As a government, we are willing to offer as much support and assistance as possible to expand Estonian investments in businesses in our country. I truly believe we can build on our traditional friendship and create lasting economic partnership that benefits both our nations. Thank you very much. I have an honor to give a speech, President of Estonia, Madam Kersti Kaljulaid, and I would like to again take this opportunity and thank personally President Kaljulaid for her very consistent and staunch support to Georgia's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity and development agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation, Prime Minister Kvirikashvili, and thank you all for being here and being interested in doing business with our country. First, I have an important announcement for all Estonian businessmen present here. I have been assured and reassured by different political actors of this country that small and medium-sized enterprises can feel very secure in this country. It's a country of rule of law, a country of level playing field, and a country which will forward its economic environment stably and predictably, thinking always on how to create more business. I hold them to their word, and I'm sure you will hold them to their word as well. But it's wonderful to see the developments here in Georgia. And indeed, SMEs, they are very flexible part of environment. They come quickly when there is an opportunity, but they are also very sensitive part of the economy. They really cannot fight big bureaucracies. They cannot manage city governments and governments which are difficult to understand, which are not predictable. And you are assuring us all here during these 3 days that Georgia is not that case, that Georgia is a rule of law state and a predictable economic environment. This is very important for all our businesses. I'm pleased to be here, and indeed, since we are geographically not neighbors, then it takes time for our business relations to develop. And probably also Estonia only has been for the last maybe 10 years in the position where it is starting to look for optimization of its own cost, of its company's cost basis, so looking for possibilities to invest in countries where our technology and your salary level can nicely converge and help to add efficiency to your production, and also to help our companies to stay profitable while in Estonia salaries are rising. Georgia is also rapidly becoming a country where income levels are not that low. $500 as an average salary is not a low income. So I would advise that those who are looking to invest mainly to optimize cost structure might look elsewhere. But those companies who have technological solutions which really could help this country to cut corners in its economic development, they are very much welcome here. And I know there are such companies among the companies which belong to my business delegation. In Estonia, we have very interesting ICT sector providing 5% of our own GDP, looking for development opportunities elsewhere. Many of them are active in creating bureaucracy-free public sectors, but also they can, of course, help to develop ICT solutions in private sector. Those who are supporting public sector e-governance development, they quite often operate together with Estonian e-governance academy, which is very active in cooperating with Georgia and all other Eastern Partnership countries. So there are many ways to build good cooperation. General Terras also always wants me to stress that we have a really good, nascent, small, innovative defense industry in Estonia, and I am quite sure that they can work together with Georgian companies as well. They are doing great things, but also they need chances to, well, scale up. And Georgia is a good place to start your scale-up exercise. It's not that much bigger than our own country. You have abolished the corporate income tax, and indeed, while you are in the development phase where you need quickly new technology to come into your country to make added value of your people's work very quickly bigger, then this will help. And I would say you are roughly at the point where we considered this was necessary, and it definitely did help. We could see the capital investment rising, and similarly to your country, we didn't lose from budget revenues. On the other hand, in Estonia, we are now already starting to think that most of the companies which are on the startup front and dealing with interesting technologies, their main asset is intangible. The main asset is their people. And intangible assets which people's brains are, they are of the type which demand high salaries. And therefore the lower tax level on capital investment or support to capital investment is not always answering the needs of those companies, because sometimes 90% of your cost base may be already salaries. So it is time to change your tax system this way that capital investment becomes more feasible. And then again, there comes time also for Georgia, and quite quickly, predictably, because technology is changing so fast in 21st century, when you also need to start thinking about how to do it differently, how to support high salaries, how to tax not only companies but individual people, because You know, this will probably also help Georgia's economy considerably, that quite a number of jobs are geographically neutral. They can be done from Georgia, but for Estonian companies. Estonians also trying to think out how to manage if jobs our people do are located in Australia, in Georgia, in New Zealand, wherever. We still need to offer social support, we still need to have a functional tax system, but these are the challenges of the 21st century. And with this very optimistic note of our current existing social models being extinct probably in 50 years' time, I would like to say that now countries in Europe ask us in Estonia quite a lot, how do you see, how all this technology is changing society? How has your digital society already changed? What is the biggest disruption? And what could we learn from it? It's interesting, but it also gives me my best argument in fighting for your country and other Eastern Partnership countries, that they should never be forgotten, that we should never give up on their opportunities any more than we want to give up on our own opportunities. And this is precisely this, that when countries started to help us after the Soviet Union collapsed, they didn't think they will create a little nice test site or a sandbox for testing technology. Yet it happened. They didn't do anything particular to create that sandbox. Yet we made this to happen ourselves, for ourselves. And then I say always, who knows that the next one is not someone from Eastern Partnership countries? You are in that race, in competition with other Eastern Partnership countries, but maybe the next big innovation test site will come from somewhere in this region. I wish you all success. Thank you for listening.